I'm not saying that I've put off holiday shopping, but the reality is I have put off holiday shopping and now I'm freaking out.
I have never put off holiday shopping this late in the game, so I'm so glad Uncommon Goods has products that I know my family will love.
Uncommon Goods makes holiday shopping stress-free and joyful with thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts that you cannot find anywhere else. Seriously, I've never seen these gifts before.
You'll discover presents that feel meaningful and personal and never feel rushed or last minute.
Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, from moms to dads to kids to teens, from book lovers and sports fans to foodies, mixologists, and gardeners. You are going to find unforgettable gifts that are absolutely out of the ordinary.
I've been trying to make an effort to gift my partner with jewelry every major holiday, and they have some great solid gold selections that I'm really excited to look through. And I might even get the Stellar Light multicolor sapphire bracelet for myself.
I'm obsessed with the Cheese Lovers jam sampler. Surprisingly, it's not for me, but I'm really excited about it because I get to eat it.
Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the US by independent artists and small businesses. Every purchase is a chance to choose something remarkable and feel good about where your money goes.
This right here is why I love Uncommon Goods. With every purchase you make, they give back $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3.1 million to date.
So don't wait. Make this holiday the year you give something truly unforgettable. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/BookTok.
That's uncommongoods.com/BookTok. BookTalk for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We are all out of the ordinary.
Do you ever wish you could show your dog just how obsessed you are with them? You actually can by giving them something to obsess over: their food. Ollie makes fresh, human-grade meals tailored to your pup's unique needs, and their recipes are made with real meat, fruits, and veggies. No fillers, no weird stuff, just the good things your dog deserves. And when your pup eats better, they feel better, so they'll have the energy to live their best life right alongside you. Ollie also offers on-demand health screenings, so you can easily check in with the Ollie Health team and get peace of mind on your dog's well-being. Go to ollie.com/BFF and use code BFF to get 60% off your first box. That's OLLIE.com/BFF. The best food for your best friend.
Hello, I'm Diane Morgan. If you know who I am, you know who I am. If you don't, who cares? I'm here to explain Italian Time, a holiday phenomenon where Italians throw away their clocks and gather for eternity with San Pellegrino. I've been at this party so long that I've eaten 5 courses, hugged someone's grandma twice, and been offered a job in the family restaurant. So this holiday season, make sure to bring enough San Pellegrino to last you through the meal, the after meal, and the entire goodbye ritual. San Pellegrino, holiday on Italian Time.
Manon and Abraxos plunge towards certain death until the unthinkable happens. With wings unfurled, Abraxos takes flight for the first time, carrying Manon into the skies and sealing their bond. Across the sea in Wendelin, Celaena's fragile connection with Rowan begins to fracture when Gavril's arrival rekindles Rowan's old loyalties. Celaena's outburst spirals into another wave of despair that leaves her isolated within Mistward. But even Rowan isn't immune to the rebuke. When Emrys confronts him for his cruelty, Rowan seeks redemption, the only way he knows, through rigorous training. During a training exercise gone wrong, a mysterious creature rises from the depth, forcing Celaena to unleash her fury, not at the beast, but at Rowan himself. In the aftermath, both are stripped bare, sharing their deepest griefs and choosing at last to face their pain together. Hey there, we're BookTok for BookTok with Jac and Amy, your book besties who take the novels you love seriously. This is Jac.
And I'm Amy, and we bring the tools of literary analysis to the women-written novels lighting up BookTok, from romance to romantasy. Think of it as your favorite fandom books treated with the same respect you'd give a classic in a literature class, just with more humor and a lot less homework.
Each season, we deep dive into one book, breaking down themes, imagery, and character motivations. Together, we combine our 13 years of literary academic training with our fandom love to help you see your favorite books in a whole new way. We also analyze the story through 2 different literary lenses, giving you more than one way to look at the text.
This week, we're discussing chapters 32 through 35 of Sarah J. Maas's third novel in the Throne of Glass series, Heir of Fire.
For a complete list of episodes and chapter breakdowns, please be sure to visit our Instagram at the handle BookTok for BookTok.
Before we dive in, let's talk about Spilt. Spoilers, perspective and interpretation, language, and themes.
Spoilers! This episode covers Heir of Fire with full context from the first 3 books. That's Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, and Heir of Fire. If you haven't read those, this is your only spoiler warning. Anything beyond Heir of Fire and other SJM works will be saved for our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks episode that airs on Thursday.
Perspective and interpretation. These are just our takes, our personal readings of the text. We don't speak for Sarah J. Maas, and we know you'll have your own interpretations too. We love hearing them, so share away.
Language. We use explicit language, and it's just going to keep happening, so keep your headphones on and the kids away.
Themes. We will also discuss tough topics like sex, violence, abuse, depression, self-harm, and death. We do our best to flag heavier moments where we can, but listener discretion is advised.
As always, let's keep the conversation going. Tag us, DM us, or use the submission form on our website. And if you want exclusive content and live streams, you'll find us over at patreon.com/BookTokForBookTok. Although people have been commenting a lot on Spotify, and that does help us collect comments, like to review here.
Yeah, Spotify also works, folks.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get enough of analysis? Make sure to check out the Subtext Society Journal, where we write think pieces discussing the romance and romantasy genre as a whole, the ongoing conversations in the bookish community, and insights into the publishing world. You can read our latest articles for free with no subscription required. But to receive new articles in the future, make sure to subscribe.
Want to be published? Head to the Subtext Society Journal.substack.com to submit your article for a chance to be a paid contributor.
This week, we ask ourselves, in what ways are Celaena and Rowan developing in this series of chapters?
Themes we see in this section include forgiveness and facing your inner darkness.
We start in chapter 32. And if you recall, we ended last episode with Manon and Abraxos falling off a cliff to their deaths. So as they're falling, Manon's thoughts tumble over themselves, kind of like how she and Abraxos are tumbling over each other in the air. Quote, maybe his body would take the impact and she could walk away. Maybe all those rocks would go right through them both. Maybe he'd flip and she would land on the rocks first. I wanted to point this out because I like how these thoughts are switching as, I don't know how to describe it. They're somersaulting over each other, kind of like how I imagine Manon and Abraxos are kind of like somersaulting in the air. And that's why she doesn't know who's going to land and die.
It's like a new thought every flip.
Right, exactly. And so first she imagines Abraxos dies and she walks away. And the last thought is the complete opposite, where she dies and hypothetically Abraxos lives.
Yeah.
And in the middle, it's that middle ground where, you know what, maybe they just both die.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was interesting imagery.
Yes.
That's conveyed in her thought process.
Also, this is the second time that she has faced death in this book, and Abraxos is the one to save her, which I think will go far in her opening up to him.
Exactly. Now, the chaos of Manon's thoughts makes her ability to live uncertain and justifies why Manon now thinks about death. Quote, she hoped it would happen too quickly for her to recognize just how she was dying, to know what part of her broke first. When I read this section, my first thought was, oh, even hard-ass Manon is afraid of death. And really what it is about is the fact that she's powerless, right? She can't face her death and try to fight back in this moment. She's powerless to what's happening to her physical body because she's strapped to Abraxos, essentially. And what it does is it really humanizes Manon for us. In many ways, this is probably the first time Manon has submitted herself completely to someone or something else, even though she fought with Abraxos against Titus earlier, there's nothing she can do right now. She is subject to whatever Abraxos is capable of, which is why she feels powerless and honestly is fearing death at this moment. And it's necessary for her to truly feel powerless in order for her to feel the high she's going to feel at the end of the scene. When Abraxos is able to right himself and begin flying, I mean, I love this moment for a lot of reasons, but you see a very traditional literary device here that I felt compelled to call out because it's just a nice touch with writing. And what that is not only is it alliteration, but it's plosive. So it's the use of P's and B's to make that p, p, p sound, which to me mimics the sound of his wings as he's flying. Quote, his wings were pumping, each boom the most beautiful sound she had ever heard in her long, miserable life.
Yep.
And that pumping, boom, beautiful is, it's supposed to sound like dragon wings. If you're watching the video, we're making flying motions.
I think we did a great job. I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
A thing that Manon likes to do, SJM doing, is taking a particularly humiliating moment and making it not very evil leader of her.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's no longer like, I am the leader of the 13. I'm going to kill men and suck their blood. And this reminds me of when she was rolling in shit to get Abraxos food.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this moment again where, quote, Manon's stomach went from her throat right out her ass, but they were swooping upwards and his wings were pumping. I think it's so freaking funny because this is so human of her, right? Like, this is so relatable. And not that witches like don't have an ass or a stomach coming out of their ass, but this is the type of fear that an expression that like you would imagine
us.
yeah. And it's the combination of almost dying, but I think we can really see her warm up. All thanks to Abraxos.
Thanks to Abraxos.
Abraxos becomes a way for Manon to experience emotions. She is able to experience things not just for him, but the way he processes his emotions. Quote, Abraxos, in joy or rage, or for the hell of it, gripped clawfuls of snow and ice and set them scattering behind, the sun lighting them up like a trail of stars. And again, this is like another very human thing to do, is that you're experiencing a lot of different emotions at once, and she's sympathizing with him. Whether she's saying it or not, you can almost hear the subtext of her saying he's been stuck and punished and used as bait for so long that this is his first taste of freedom. And I think in a lot of ways, Non is getting her first taste of freedom too, of being allowed to have these emotions.
I think that's such a great point. And there's almost like a little bit of awe, especially in the imagery of the snow being lit up like a trail of stars. Like, that's not a very Manon thing to think about. And so because it's from her point of view in this moment, it feels like she's like, yeah, that was silly, but wow, that's also beautiful. And I have a new appreciation for this.
Yeah.
Which, again, she would never admit to, but we see through her eyes. I always love Manon's point of view because she's consistently a liar. And it's very obvious to us as readers that she's an unreliable narrator. And in this instance specifically, like Jac said, we see her feeling empathy or sympathy for Abraxos. Quote, she had not understood what it had been like for him to live his entire life underground, chained and beaten and crippled until then, until she heard that noise of undiluted, unyielding joy, until she echoed it, tipping her head back to the clouds around them. Again, to what Jac was saying earlier, somehow this feels like not only has Abraxos been liberated, but Manon herself has been liberated. On one hand, because she hasn't been able to fly in 10 years and she loves flying and she's very connected to the wind, but also something about her emotions being liberated as well.
Yeah, I mean, for her to be like, I don't know what it's like to be beaten and crippled and chained. Isn't that your entire life, right? Like the way that her grandma is being like, if you die in the pit, you deserve it, right?
Right.
Or if you fail the war games, don't bother coming home. Like Manon has been chided and beaten and crippled
Hmm.
and, all these things that's holding her back. And Abraxos allows her to face her own trauma. This reminds me of an article I read years ago. So please take this with a grain of salt, and it might have changed. But I remember reading it and feeling really interested because it encouraged young boys in the precipice of manhood, like preteens, right?
Hmm.
And encouraging that they get dogs because it allows them to have empathy in a
Mm.
society that, has like boys need to toughen up. It's just like a right time of like, okay, let's like get ahead of this or not. Again, is that backed in science? I don't know, but it made sense to my brain.
Yeah, it does. Manon has another moment that I love. Quote, and Manon, because no one was watching, because she did not care, flung out her arms as well and savored the free fall, the wind now a song in her ears, in her shriveled heart. Felt very Grinch to me, where the
Yeah.
Grinch's heart grows 3 times at the end of the story.
Mm-hmm.
That felt like what was happening to Manon here. And I also feel like this moment could not have happened. She could not have felt so much joy without having believed that she was truly going to die. And I feel
Yeah.
like that is a very important turning point for her.
Yeah. And it solidifies that he is her safe space. He
Hmm.
is the place where she gets to experience these emotions freely. And because it's something that she's never allowed herself to have before, not even with her 13 besties that she refuses to admit they're besties.
Let's take a sip.
Yeah, protein shake time.
We're moving on to chapter 33, and we're back with Celaena and Rowan. Now that Celaena has figured out how to shift and can control that, Rowan wants her to practice control of her fire magic, and he's brought some candles. He, quote, made her light candle after candle at the ruins of the sun goddess's temple. She failed every time, singeing her cloak, cracking the ruins, incinerating trees as her magic tore out of her. But Rowan had a bottomless supply of candles, so she spent her days staring at them until her eyes crossed. Now, on one hand, this is showing us how powerful she is because she's blowing, incinerating the forest around her. But I also found it a little bit funny that it's like metaphorically Celaena's burning the candle at both ends.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, is that me projecting?
Well, I'm about to have a me projecting thing too. I think that candles can also represent time, right? Because back in the day, you could tell time by how long a candle burned. Even now, like you can see on your candle, it tells you how long it burns, but it was very much an indicator of putting on the 8-hour candle. And once it's done, 8 hours will have passed. And it feels like it's showing her that she's being impatient and wanting to rush things because time is rushing as well. And then this is when when I was typing yesterday, we were at the library and I looked at Amy and I was like, I just typed something that hit home to me.
Hit home to me too.
Yeah. Who knew her burning candles would resonate so deeply with us?
Yeah, seriously. It's a great image. I'm glad you brought it up. Now, the more that Celaena uses her magic, the bigger her appetite gets. And that's a very food is power moment. Quote, Celaena ate whatever and whenever she could, thanks to her magic gobbling so much of her energy. Now, it's very symbolic of her that as she gains control of her magic, it symbolizes strength. And she also needs to get strength from eating more food to replenish her energy to have more control of her magic. So it's just this simple but very
Yeah.
consistent image of food as power that SJM uses.
I really relate to this. I mean, having increased my weight training to 6 times a week for the last several weeks has been, I'm so hungry.
All the time. Yeah.
Yeah. So Amy's about to continue with the food is power, but before that happens, I do want to call out some of Emrys's storytelling moment. So Emrys starts to tell some stories, and it really shows where Celaena's head is at for 2 reasons. One, quote, Celaena was standing at the sink, back throbbing and hunger gnawing at her belly as she scrubbed the last of the copper pots, while Emrys finished narrating the story of a clever wolf and a magical fire bird. So this is the only way that Celaena is going to allow herself to enjoy the story, is her having to clean. Like, she's being very nonchalant about it. And I think that this is showing still having a level of punishment where she doesn't get to just sit there. And even if she does, it's still after, she's doing all this work. And then Celaena asks about Maeve because she wants to learn more about the woman who could be her enemy. So it's just like there's a little bit of strategy coming back to
Mhm.
Celaena.
Yeah, if I could just add, it speaks to how isolated she still feels, that she feels
Mhm.
she has to justify her presence
Yeah.
by working, and that she doesn't feel like part of the group. And
Yeah.
so she only happens to be there because she's working. So just emphasizing your point.
Thank you. Now, during the story, Emerus talks about the sisters, Maeve, Mab, and Mora. And he says, quote, Mora and Mab had fallen in love with human men and yielded their immortality. Some said Maeve forced them to give up their gifts of eternal life as punishment. Some said they wanted to, if only to escape their sister. Now, I could very easily make an argument about women having to give up their power to be with men. And you can argue the parallels into this world, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. No, we're not. However, I will make this other note, and this is a spoiler. So for the rest of the series, so just marking that. But I want to point out that this is what Celaena does with her own powers. She gives it up. So just noting that. We're back to spoiler free. Another part of the story is about Maeve and her soldiers specifically. Quote, Maeve had cherished her warriors above all others. They loved her for it, made her a mighty queen whom no one dared challenge. Celaena expected Rowan to puff his feathers at that, but he remained still and quiet and perched. So I just love how much propaganda that is, right? And, the lack of puffing, the lack of pride is very, very telling here.
Now, Gavriel arrives because he's just experienced a tragedy and he's been looking for Rowan because Rowan's going to tattoo his grief onto his body. Now, Celaena doesn't know that. She just wants Rowan to introduce her to Gavriel, but Rowan, who's been getting closer to Celaena, just acts like Celaena's not there. And she does not like being forgotten or ignored when Gavriel arrives at Mistward. And because she's nosy, she's going to use food as a way to get information because knowledge is power and power comes from food. So food and knowledge are power. They're interconnected. Quote, curiosity, not kindness, made her realize his friend probably hadn't had dinner. At least no one had brought anything out of the kitchen, and Rowan hadn't called for food. So why not bring up a tray of stew and bread? This is something I would do 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I also find it very, very humorous that Celaena wonders for the first time if Rowan is gay. But I also don't know how I feel about the placement in this moment. Quote, she had the mortifying thought that perhaps the male was here for a far more intimate reason. Now, on one hand, it paints a very clear picture without Celaena saying anything that she's into him, right? Yeah. For the first time, she's like, oh, wait, no, what if I'm wrong? What if he is gay? However, it also felt kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but to me, it also felt kind of like a throwaway thing for SJM to put in.
A last minute ally.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I was just like, it just didn't sit right with me.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have to say that.
I get it. I think what's hard is that living in LA, I constantly am asking if men are gay or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the life I live is, oh, he's cute. Is he gay?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not just men, everyone. You just kind of have to assume everyone's a little queer here.
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying, where all of a sudden it's like, now am I going to be forward thinking? We should all live our life wondering if people are gay or not.
Yeah.
Starting forward. Like that, it's the assumption that people are straight, right? It's the same way that when people read a book, white people will put white characters in their heads before they put people of color in there as like a place mark, right? And it's the same way that we put straight people in as a place mark before we put anyone who's queer.
Yeah. And I think what feels so off base to me about it is that Celaena has never thought this about Kale before she was with Kale.
Mm-hmm. So Gavril shows up.
Gabrielle.
And someone needs to come up with fucking real names. I will not stand for this.
It's like Gabrielle, but with a V. Gavriel.
Exactly. Have real names. Gavril shows up and really plays into Elena's insecurities. Elena.
Celaena. I knew what you
All
meant.
of it. Aelin, Celaena. Quote, she sometimes forgot that Rowan had a life beyond this fortress. It hadn't bothered her before, and she wasn't sure why remembering it now suddenly settled in her stomach like a dead weight, or why it suddenly mattered that Rowan at least acknowledged that she was there, that she existed. I relate to that so much. We all do. It's like, girl, I have been there. But yeah, it's beyond than just her showing early signs that she likes him. I think it's also showing signs that she needs his validation. And this is a trend for Celaena. She is showing her daddy issues. She needs validation from Rowan. She needs validation from Kale. She needs validation from Arabin. And I think as we go into some of the memories that she had of her past, there's some validation she needed of her own daddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's a showing.
It's a showing, that's for sure. Well, or, I mean, she had such a maybe toxic view of her mother that it's only the men in her life that she needs validation from.
Oh. Also, her uncle was the king. So even
Yep.
more like the men's opinion were the only ones that mattered.
Yep.
Oh, boy.
And not Gabriel, Adian was the one who was her protector. Like, she really gravitates towards men.
She's not a pick-me.
I mean,
she's just not far.
Right. I mean, Sham did not set Celaena up for success.
No, not at all. My family and I are planning a trip to Portugal next year, which means I need the best walking shoes I can possibly buy. Luckily, I already have them with my Vionic Walk Slim Glide.
I recently upgraded to the Winnie sneakers, and they are perfect and timeless, and I never want to stop wearing them.
They're so freaking cute that I'm not worried about styling my cute vacation outfits because I know every single thing is going to go with them.
I agree. I can go from working straight to an outing in the evening and don't feel the need to change my shoes because they are so stylish.
The reason why I am so excited to be able to tackle this trip to Portugal and all the walking is that Vionic has VioMotion technology, and that's what sets them apart. They began by revolutionizing medical orthotics. Today, they continue to use that science to engineer shoes that leave you feeling energized and confident all day.
Give your feet the pampering that they need by getting Vionic shoes. Use code BookTok at checkout for 15% off your entire order at vionicshoes.com when you log into your account. It's one-time use only, so get every style.
That's code BookTalk, BookTalk, at checkout for 15% off your entire order at vionicshoes.com.
Vionic shoes, wearable well-being for your feet. The holidays throw me off purely because I'm not at work. I lose track of everything.
The number one thing that I lose track of are my nutrients. It is always the first thing to go, which is why I am obsessed with Ritual. Especially they're essential for women 18 plus.
Their Essential for Women 18 Plus multi contains 9 key nutrients in 2 delayed release capsules designed for optimal absorption per day, which means it's gentle on the stomach with a minty essence. And quite frankly, I love that minty essence because there's nothing worse than taking a pill that tastes like crap.
Ritual even conducted a university-led clinical trial for their Essential for Women 18 Plus multivitamin to assess its efficacy. The results? It increased vitamin D levels by 43%, omega-3 DHA levels by 41% in just 12 weeks.
I honestly need to get my partner on this. She needs both.
We all need it, which is why we have the perfect code for you today.
our listeners get early access to their Black Friday sale for 40% off your first month at ritual.com/booktalk.
That's ritual.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for 40% off your first month. Don't miss out on their best sale this season. Now, another moment of her feeling insecure here is when, quote, Gavriel's attention darted between her and Rowan, his nostrils flaring. He was smelling her. And, you can argue maybe he is smelling something between them, but it almost comes off as like he's smelling her like she's competition.
Mm-hmm.
And, so she's in the room and she's like, oh, I was just here to bring the tray of food. I was doing it innocently. And then he gets pissed. Rowan's like, get the hell out. And he's extra pissed off. So Celaena goes into the hallway. She's pissy because he kicked her out. And then he comes in the hallway and he's pissy and she's just ready for a fight. Quote, just seeing the lividness written all over him had her riding that reckless, stupid edge again, and clinging to the anger was easier than embracing the quiet darkness that wanted to pull her down, down, down. This is part of the reason why she falls for Rowan is the fact that he brings her back to life more than just through action, but, with anger. And as we know, anger is a secondary emotion. There's a lot of other feelings. So it's not like you ever just experience anger. You're experiencing another thing, and anger is a product of that. And for here, it's more about her not wanting to feel the sadness. Right now, it's feeling rejection, and it's something beyond the darkness, right? Like feeling rejected is something. But unfortunately, he is also ready for a fight when she's ready for a fight. So they're both ready to duke it out with each other. It's not healthy, but as any book,
Yeah.
We're not here to read healthy.
No.
What's impressive about this moment is that Celaena is not just able to vocalize her vulnerability, she's able to put it out there. Quote, saying those last words made a sharp, quick panic rise in her, an aching pain that had her throat closing. You left me. Let's move into the abandonment issues now, portion of the conversation. Who's abandoned her? Kale, Nehemia, Arabin? Everyone has abandoned her. And now it's like, but at least, like, again, our girl was able to vocalize it. And I was talking about this with a coworker the other day about how a former boss of ours that I really liked her. I did vocalize to her of saying, my former boss saying, hey, I work well with praise, because she was like, you did a really good job. And I was like, I need you to know I'm going to strive for that validation. Like, that is what's going to keep me going. And she actually learned as a boss that I don't do well with, like, you need to do better. I mean, she would point out the things that I didn't do well, and I would be so crushed. And then she would like cater it to things that I did do really well. And I'd be like, I just want to make you proud. So,
Yeah.
You have to vocalize your issues so that people can use it accordingly with you.
Yeah.
I am going to read what Rowan said, not only because it's horrible, but because she repeats the same thing to Emrys later. Quote, now this is Rowan talking to her. Quote, I don't care what you've been through or what you want to do with your life. The sooner you can sort out your whining and self-pity, the sooner I can be rid of you. You are nothing to me, and I do not care. Remember the time he told her she was better off dead? That the world would have been better if she died as a child? Just like, let's take a trip down memory lane, guys. And she was being vulnerable to him. She said, you left me. And okay, look, I'm sorry. One last time. You have to be a certain level of fucked up if someone is opening up their vulnerability to you of you left me. Imagine someone just like being raw and saying like, you left me. And that doesn't crack you or warm you up a little bit. We already know he's going through his own shit. I hear it, guys. Don't worry. I'm just saying. He's clearly in his own head. He's got his own issues. I know. I'm trying to be on board. Okay. He's making it hard for me.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about this later. He explains why he reacts this way. And to your point, Jac, I don't know how he didn't react differently.
Yeah,
right? Knowing what he's been through, like this felt forced and overboard.
I have a general rule of thumb, and that is when you meet someone with vulnerability, they meet you with vulnerability. Anytime I've had friends, family, they're like talking to their husbands or spouses and anyone else, or just anyone that they're coming to. And they're like, I have all these feelings. I know this is going to start a fight. And it's like, it won't if you start off with vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's an immediate diffuser, in my opinion, and in my experience and everyone else's experience. So like you said, the fact that this wasn't a sobering moment for him,
Yeah.
it was a little weird.
Yeah. Agreed. Now, Celaena is not intentionally provoking Rowan. Like Jac said, she's being vulnerable. And when he reacts this way, she uses her words to ask him to hit her.
Mm-hmm.
Quote, instead of reminding me again and again how rutting, worthless, and awful and cowardly I am, just hit me because I'm damned tired of trading insults. Now, this is a progression from the time that she intentionally provoked Rowan and he punched her, right? This is now he's verbally assaulting her and she's like, I'd rather you physically assault me than verbally assault me right now.
Again.
Yeah, which is kind of terrible.
Yeah.
And because of the mean things he's saying, because she can't take that when she's trying to be vulnerable, she walks away, she's dejected, she's put out, and she slips into a depressive episode. And she thinks to herself, quote, it would have been nice, she supposed. It would have been nice to have one person who knew the absolute truth about her and didn't hate her for it. It would have been really, really nice. She walked away without another word. With each step she took back to her room, that flickering light inside of her guttered and went out. Again, we learn later why Rowan acted this way, but even with those excuses, the argument feels forced. It feels like SJM needed to get to this point, specifically so that Celaena could have this downward moment, so that she could have this low in her journey. And this sentiment that I just read is obviously the reason why Celaena chooses Rowan in the end, because he does ultimately know the absolute truth about her and doesn't hate her in the end. But this roller coaster of how shitty he's being to her
I know.
continues to disappoint me.
Yeah.
Just before Gavriel arrived, earlier in this same chapter, she's like, every time we listen to Emerus talk, Rowan's in his hawk form and he gets closer to me. And he like sidles up to me and snuggles close to me.
He was pulling her hair and having fun and like basically flirting with her in the last episode. He's doing all these things, right? And her dropping off food and interrupting the tattoo session is not enough. Now, I will say she does try to rile him up. And what she says is, do you charge for that?
Mm-hmm.
But he was already coming out pissed. He was already out there. And that is not enough of a charge. And it does come from a lack of character development and lack of inside his head. That the thing is, does he really explain? Not in what we're about to see. He doesn't explain why he was so upset. This does not make sense. Like, okay, this is an intimate moment and he can be frustrated, but does it warrant this type of a response? And it is, SJM is following all of the structural things that needs to happen. But do we have reasons to get there?
We don't have enough internalization on his part to understand. And therefore, we get a lot of like internal thought processes from Celaena that don't make sense.
Yeah.
That fill in gaps that are not logical, which we'll see later.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go into chapter 34.
After we take a sip.
In chapter 34, we start with Celaena in low spirits. And despite how hungry she's been lately because she's been using her magic, she doesn't feel like she can eat anymore because of her emotions. Quote, she did not remember her dreams or feel the pangs of hunger or thirst when she awoke, and she could barely respond to anyone as she trudged down to the kitchen and set about helping with breakfast. Both symbolically and psychologically, this is demonstrating Celaena's vulnerability right now to being provoked. She lacks the strength to even carry herself through the world. How can we expect her to have the strength to resist being provoked when she feels this raw?
Yeah. and I know I said this in the last chapter, but I'm going to reiterate this, is that there had to be a relapse in her recovery. None of this is surprising. This was going to happen structurally, narratively. That's how storytelling works. Like, you're not going to get this wonderful high without something, setting them back a little bit. It makes sense for development. So it's just one of those things where I think this is her most structural book, if that makes sense. You can tell the beats that she has to hit to keep it
Mhm.
moving along
Mhm.
of like in order to get this training sequence.
Yeah.
And none of it is new, surprising, or innovative, but not that that's a bad thing.
Right. She's just hitting the beats that we would
Mhm.
expect.
Yeah.
Now, when Emrys shows off the dagger that Malachi got him, that is a dagger from Eelway, Celaena snaps. And when she snaps, it internally sounds like a lot of things. Quote, and in its place was a screaming, high-pitched and keening, loud as a tea kettle, loud as a storm wind, loud as the sound the maid had emitted the morning she'd walked into Celaena's parents' bedroom and seen the child laying between their corpses. Now, these are very violent, uncontrollable noises, and the more I thought about it, the more I wondered if I could make this fit, which is the noises are also the result of something changing. So, for example, with a tea kettle, when the tea kettle is hissing loudly, that's because water is being boiled and evaporating.
Mhm.
The storm wind, the weather is changing, which is causing the storm, and the maid screaming because Celaena's parents are dead. So, I just wanted to other than the thread of they all sound the same, what is there physically the same or
Mhm.
such about these noises? I might be reaching, but
Well, it's all dangerous too, right? Like
Mhm.
water boiling, you can't put your hand on that. It'll burn you. Weather changing with a storm, that's a tree falling down, right? Maid yelling, that's because her parents are dead. Like, it's all very violent too.
It is. It is.
Celaena loses it on Emrys, and I do enjoy the layers to this. Quote, lies, lies, lies. Nehemia had lied about everything, about her stupid name, about her plans, about every damn thing. Nehemia was gone, and she had nothing left. Trembling so hard, she thought her body would fall apart. She turned. I do not care about you. That's what she said to Emrys. And these are the memories that is triggering for Celaena from the night before. And, she's repeating Rowan's words that he said
Mhm.
to her. She's repeating it to Emrys. And it's very telling. I think the reason why it's almost verbatim is like SJM kind of saying, like, she is taking what Rowan said very much to heart.
Mhm.
That is SJM not even trying. So, like, she's dangling it, being like, what Rowan said was horrible. And because if later on, Celaena's going to get on her knees to apologize to Emrys.
Mhm.
Like, that's how bad it is of what she said to him. That is no different than what Rowan said to her. If anything, Rowan said worse. His was worse.
Yeah, and he never outright requests forgiveness.
No, they just kind of like, he lets her punch him a few more times,
Yeah.
Even when his point of view, he doesn't even remotely think of forgiveness. So I do want to point that out. And I think that is a big part of SJM showing his journey and his lack of growth at this particular moment so that
Mhm.
we can get growth later.
I agree because even though maybe what he said justifies Celaena's reaction to him, especially later when she starts beating him up, and even though he should be asking for forgiveness and apologizing and he doesn't,
Hmm.
somehow Celaena still feels more guilty about hurting him
Yeah.
than he feels about the terrible things he said.
Yes.
And
It's bad.
it's bad.
I mean, Rowan being like, oh, his way of showing that he feels bad is going to be taking Luca and holding him prisoner so that
Hostage.
Celaena can figure it out. And that's not enough. Like, that's not an apology, nor is it a hint of an apology. So he just makes it hard for a girl to like him.
Yeah, and maybe we can talk about this when we get to that point, but I also have to think about it as he's fucked up
Yeah.
because the authority figure in his life has been Maeve for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
And I'm sure she's never apologized for anything.
It's all new to him. Every time
Yeah.
Celaena does some kind of apology towards him, it'll be a new experience. Definitely.
Yeah.
And when we get him opening up to her, that is definitely meant to be the turnaround point. So I'm understanding. I'm wiggle room. I've angered too many people. Now we get Rowan's point of view for the very first time. And again, we need this point of view because of the horrible things he said to her. Quote, "The girl was nowhere to be seen. And for a heartbeat, he'd hoped she'd left again, if only so he didn't have to face what he said yesterday." It ain't shit. That ain't an apology. It's more of like, can I avoid the consequences of what I did?
Mm-hmm.
Can I do the very thing that I keep accusing Celaena? And hey, you can argue that every accusation that he makes to Celaena is an accusation he's making to himself. Everything that he hates about her is a thing that he hates about himself. And, I'm just saying that now and I can actually like him a little bit more after that. It's funny because just how Celaena looks to men for validation, he's kind of looking towards women to direct him,
Mm-hmm.
So, but they're showing some expressive regret. Also, I love talking about titles. I love talking about what we call people, what the use of names are, and the fact that he removes her name. He's not even calling her Aelin, just the girl. And he is the one who's creating separation. And this is something so that later on, when he calls her Aelin, it will have more impact because we are specifically getting him avoiding even thinking her name.
Yeah.
By the way, this is now the 7th point of view in this book.
It's too many.
It's too freaking many. At this point, Celaena goes to cry. And then this makes me cry. And let's see if I can read it out loud because she hears her mom. She hears, "Why do you cry, Fireheart?" It had been 10 years, 10 long years since she heard her mother's voice, but she heard it then over the forest of her weeping, as clear as if she knelt beside her. "Fireheart, why do you cry?" "Because I am lost," she whispered, "and I do not know the way." I am tearing. I mean, that's like that clip on TikTok where it's like,
Yeah.
Fireheart, Fireheart. And then,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and it's like you get this part repeated in other books again, like in the future.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I got the tattoo, is because of that clip. And it's like, you do not yield. This is like when I told Amy, I'm like, my eyes are tearing up in the library. This is the exact clip and moment. I'm happy I'm done talking. Go ahead. I have it covered. So Rowan shows up because she's crying by the lake. And he's like, "Let me get you out of a funk." And he's about to go on his little sage journey. But what I love about it is because he calls her name. Quote, he smiled grimly. "I think I started to figure you out, Aelin Galathinius." There's a lot more impact here. And this moment would not have had the same impact if we did not have Rowan's point of view. If we didn't have the moment where he referenced her as girl.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason why he calls her a name this time. It's not to insult her. It's not to make her feel like, she's not living up to her potential. It's a form of peace is what I'm seeing.
That's a good point.
On this hike up, we get this description, which I really like. Quote, so that this is the hike, eventually turned into the snow-capped peak that marked the barrier between Wendelin and Doranel beyond. For some reason, this hulking giant made the hair on her neck stand up. That reminds me a lot of the mountain and the peak that Manon just had to, face. And both of them are kind of facing this make or break it moment up high in the mountains in the sky.
It's a good point.
Thank you. Mirroring.
So after this moment of vulnerability, Rowan decides, you know what? Let's have a training moment because that's a good way for us to make amends. And Celaena is not particularly happy about this new lesson that Rowan has devised for her because she finds that Luca has been held hostage and chained to a frozen lake and he's cold and hungry. We have a little metafictional moment between Aelin and Rowan that is funny and I normally like, but let me read it. Quote, Celaena says to Rowan, quote, Don't give me a lesson like you're some mystical nonsense master. This is the stupidest thing I've ever had to. Now, there is a moment in the hero's journey that's called, I forget what it is. It's something about like meeting the sage or whatever, or, you get a lesson from usually a male character or a father figure of some sort. So it's funny that Celaena is calling out this moment because that is definitely a beat that happens in the hero's journey. When I wrote my notes, I was like, I probably don't like it because I'm not enjoying anything about this right now.
I mean, SJM said that originally Rowan was supposed to be the sage character, the wise character.
And honestly, he's acting like it. He's not acting like a love interest right now.
He's not even acting like a wise sage.
Yeah,
he's just acting like an antagonist.
Yep.
I liked it better when he was pulling her braids.
Yeah, but we're not supposed to be teaching the men and boys that behavior.
No. It makes me miss Kale.
Wow.
I said it.
Even Aelin would pause to catch her breath. We'll be right back.
I am getting the award for best daughter, niece, cousin in my family because I have surprised everyone with Storyworth this holiday season.
I've used Storyworth with my own father, and it's amazing. It emails a loved one a memory-provoking question that you get to choose as the gifter, and they write a response based on whatever memory comes to mind.
All your loved one needs to do is respond to that email with a story. They can either write a story over email or record it over the phone for Storyworth to transcribe, which, trust me, half my family will be doing. One of my favorite parts is that it even includes photos in color. I love that.
What's great about Storyworth, they've been around a long time. It's been a long time since my father's used it, and they're still innovating. There's so many new features that they've added that make storytelling even easier.
Also, their magic layout and new book designs make the finished books, especially the photos, look even more beautiful.
Customers love Storyworth. They've printed over 1 million books and preserved 35 million family stories since their founding 13 years ago.
They have over 48,000 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, and I trust them.
Give your loved ones a unique keepsake you'll all cherish for years. Storyworth Memoirs.
Right now, save $10 or more during their holiday sale when you go to storyworth.com/booktalk.
That's storyworth.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, to save $10 or more on your order. The thing about Los Angeles fall is I need a sweater in the morning. And because I go to work every day, it needs to be stylish.
And Quince has got your back, Amy, because they are able to provide those sweaters and outerwear and everyday essentials that help you feel luxurious, but it's also timeless. And you are a sucker for timeless fashion.
100%. If I invest my money, I don't want to have to spend it again for a long time. That's why I buy their $50 Mongolian cashmere sweaters, because they're made not only for the workday, but the everyday.
Honestly, I've been eyeing Quince's Italian wool coats, and I've never had a wool coat. But I think it's time. I think I'm ready to upgrade my life to a wool coat. And it's great because with Quince, the cut feels designer and the quality really rivals high-end brands, but without that insane markup.
That's because they work directly with ethical, top-tier factories, and they skip the middleman to offer prices 50% less than similar brands.
One of my all-time favorite sweaters that I got last year was their boyfriend fit sweater. I keep that in my car because that is my, oh no, I forgot to bring something, favorite sweater that I know I'm going to look good and works with every outfit.
So step into the holiday season with layers made to feel good, look polished, and last from Quince.
Perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. And they're now available in Canada.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, to get free shipping and 365-day returns.
Quince.com/booktalk. I wear glasses every day of the week except weekends, and those become my fun contact days until I'm about to run out, which I am on my last pair of contacts right now. 1-800-CONTACTS has been my go-to for refills with my contacts.
I've known you long enough that you'll go weeks without getting your contacts because of the location. But 1-800-CONTACTS skips the hassle. They offer free and fast shipping on every order.
For over 30 years, 1-800-CONTACTS has been the leader in online contact lens delivery with millions of contacts in stock and award-winning customer service.
They even offer free returns and exchanges, which means you can order confidently. They even offer unbeatable perks like free torn lens replacement. Their best price guarantee means if you find your contacts at a lower price elsewhere, they will beat it. That's a promise you won't find everywhere.
That's seriously why I keep going back to 1-800-CONTACTS. And they have extra discounts for new customers on their site.
Getting contacts doesn't have to be a hassle. Let 1-800-CONTACTS get you the contact lenses you need right now.
Order online at 1-800-CONTACTS.com or download the free 1-800-CONTACTS app today. Rowan decides to give Celaena a life lesson by tying up Luca in the middle of a frozen lake. And Rowan tells her, quote, "You dragged him in yourself when you insulted him and Emrys."
Bullshit.
Make that make sense. It's one of those things where I'm tired of ragging on Rowan. This is purely SJM.
Oh, yeah. This is SJM. She knows what her beats are. She doesn't know how to string the beats together.
Yes.
And I am empathetic to that because I'm struggling with that in my own writing to make it feel like a natural flow and feel like it's been earned. But I feel like this story could have used a couple more developmental edits before it was published.
I feel like you can see the struggle of what she had in her head originally of what Rowan was going to be, this sage, this, trainer, this guide, and then turning him into a love interest. And there seems to be a conflict between the two.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's what's coming in here. And just remember, anytime I shit on Rowan and I talk about like this is messed up and this doesn't make sense or this is like a shit excuse, it's all SJM's writing. Like this is not a thought out character, in my opinion. I think this feels like a character that if he is well thought out, if he is all these things, I don't get enough time with him to believe it.
Yeah, he's a caricature.
Yeah.
And he's two caricatures that have been forced together. He's two tropes
Yes.
forced together
Yeah.
that are not cohesive right now. And that's not to say it gets... I mean, I haven't read Queen of Shadows or Empire of Storms in a long time. I'm confident SJM gets better with her characterization of Rowan in the future. And that is the Rowan people love.
Yeah.
Her writing and her characterization of him here does not work for me.
I don't remember Rowan being particularly interesting to me. And I know a lot of people have said that Rowan is like one of, like, out of all her MMCs, he's just kind of like there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this is kind of setting that up, where he is just a accumulation of beats that needs to be hit.
Yeah, it's true.
I also want to ask, how did he have time to do this? I understand Celaena's been out there crying for several hours, but like, damn, he's very efficient. That means he also had to carry Luca out there, mind you.
He's very powerful. That's what we're trying to be convinced of right now.
So true. As Celaena goes to save Luca over the frozen lake, she admires the weapons in the water. Like, she kind of takes a beat and she thinks, quote, "As she took a tentative step, small ones at first, she could see the lake bottom slopping away into darkness, swallowing the spread of lost weapons." I feel like this is a metaphor of her own power being trapped underneath her own potential, that she too is seeing her own strength, her own power slopping away into the darkness, her own depression. Sloping, sorry. Fuck. Either way, it works. It's like sloping away into the darkness. It's still sloping away into darkness. Let me the fuck be.
Sorry.
Not you. Not you. Everyone. Everyone. But admit it's a good point. Make me feel better.
No, it's a great point. I think it's a great point. I'm sorry. I was really fixated on slopping versus
Felt like I
sloping.
lost my stride.
I'm really sorry, but it is a really good point because she is a weapon herself. Celaena is a weapon herself. She's a warrior. When she receives the sword from Rowan in the next chapter, she really marvels at its balance and how good of a weapon it is. So, of course, this is something she's going to notice and she's
Yeah.
going to clock because honestly, that's all she's done for the last 10 years is what's the best weapon I can use to do the deed I need to do.
Well, also metaphorically, like she's about to save Luca through burning a hole into the water, into the ice. It's like she has to use her own power to get access to her power
Yep.
within it.
So, as Celaena is traversing the frozen lake, she reminisces on the past and she admits to herself that on the day magic disappeared, she finally felt in control because magic is what made her a weapon and it was something she couldn't control. So, she secretly was very glad that magic went away. Quote, it had been a beautiful, horrible relief to wake up one day, not too many months after that, and no magic was gone. That she could hold a book, hold what she adored most, and not worry about turning it to ash if she became upset or tired or excited. So, knowing this about her, about how magic honestly was preventing her from living her fullest life as a
Mhm.
child, no wonder why she has been so resistant for so long because magic has the connotation of ruining
Yeah.
everything, of taking away her joy.
It also is beautiful because it shows why she loves books. Like, yes, she loves
Mm,
reading, but it represents being able to do something that she wasn't able to do before.
yeah.
She was not able to control her own powers or her ability. She's afraid of her own self, right? Like, not beyond just what Arabin did, but because before her parents even died, her powers were something that was going to be controlled, that was going to be manipulated, that was going to bring the palace down. So, of course, she's going to embrace reading. It is the
Hmm.
exact opposite of one of the last instances that happened before her parents' death.
Yeah. Totally makes sense.
This is probably one of my favorite sentences within maybe this book or maybe the series. I wrote the series, but we'll see if I believe it once I read it out loud. Oh no, I do like this book. Okay, I do. I can confirm. Quote, Celaena had been everything Aelin was it. She had embraced that life, even if Celaena's accomplishments were death and torture and pain. The fact that she embraces Celaena because she is opposite of Aelin
Hmm.
is incredible. I think it shows the level of pain because we have to remember all the shit that Celaena herself had to go through in order to become Celaena, the training, the
Hmm.
abuse, the death, like all of it. In order to be that, she would rather that than be Aelin. And I think it also shows like why she's never tried to go back to Terrasen,
Hmm.
why she never tried to do quote unquote step up, which I'd still argue like she's so young, don't expect that from her. But you
Right.
can see that. You can see that there's two sides of herself and you can see the purpose that Celaena serves her. And this is the most moment of Celena's not real for me.
Yeah. It's, yeah, beautifully said.
Thank you. I think this is like probably in Celena's story in this book, the most redeeming statement.
Yeah.
The statement continues also with this quote, she had never been in control. Even as Celaena, control had been an illusion. Other masters had held her reins. Not just Celaena, but as Aelin too, right? She has
Hmm.
never been in control. She wasn't in control of her magic. She wasn't in control of her fate. And even now, she's still not in control of anything, but the one thing she can be in control of are her powers.
And what I love about the quote that you read, Jack, is this idea other masters had held her reins. Without saying it, she's saying, I was a horse that
Mhm.
other people were riding.
Mhm.
And, not in a sexual way, but in a
Yeah.
control way, I could have been a free, wild horse
Yeah.
living in the mountains of Terrasen. And
Yep.
instead, I've been brutalized and tamed.
Yeah.
And that is such expression of power and the lack of power.
Even in this moment, right? She's here because Maeve said so. She's
Mm-mm.
here because Rowan controlled the situation to get Luca chained up into the middle of this frozen lake. Like, even in this very second, she does not have the reins to her own life.
And it's very dehumanizing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's literally comparing herself to a horse. It's dehumanizing.
Yep. Sip.
Yep. All right. Moving into chapter 35. Now, Celaena has been working on freeing Luca, and she realizes there is a giant, ancient beast beneath the frozen lake. And the way she views its hunger is very telling. Quote, "Something out of a nightmare was trying to crawl onto the ice, its one red eye wild with hunger, its massive teeth promising a brutal and cold kind of death. Even, quote, the sword she held was about as useful as a toothpick against it. Despite being fey, despite having control of her fire magic at this point, she is still prey. She is prey that's holding a toothpick to help this monster digest her. And she's very, very self-aware of that.
In this moment, Celaena thinks, quote, "Of course she'd been left unarmed in the center of a lake lined with weapons." Again, she is the biggest weapon here. She can fry that fish so fast.
Yeah, but she doesn't trust herself to do it.
Have a little fish bake. A little seafood bake.
Get some blackened salmon.
Oh, I am hungry.
That's-
We're both very hungry.
We're very hungry right now. As the group runs away from the mountain and back to the fortress, Celaena is more worried about Luca than she is honestly about herself or Rowan. Quote, "After a while, she sensed Rowan behind them, yet she cared only for her young charge, who panted and cursed all the way back to the fortress." This moment, honestly, on one hand is showing Celaena's tender heart. She really does care about other people despite what she might say and despite her depression. However, it also feels like an example of SJM trying to age up Celaena.
Mm-hmm.
Celaena is either her age or a couple years younger than her. Honestly, I thought he was older than her. So for her to say her young charge
Mm-hmm.
is not in sync with the actual, age of these characters.
Yep.
And that's frustrating.
I noticed that too. SJM has so many of these little moments that ages her up. And I don't know if SJM knows if she's doing that. I doubt she does. I doubt any of that. This is probably the book that it enters mature lane, right? Like, this is the first book that we're getting away from that YA kind of tropey YA style book and characters and narrative. And definitely it's more mature, but she's 19 years old. Who calls someone a young charge?
Yeah. I don't know.
But I will say, this is the first time in this book she has seen someone as her responsibility, which is a good sign to her health and progression and healing.
Yeah. So regardless of how we feel about the use of young charge, it is signaling a turning point for Celaena.
Again, narratively, she's hitting the beats, SJM.
Now, once Luca is safe and they're close to Mistward, Celaena in her Fae form punches Rowan, and she doesn't warn him. I think I remember thinking she does warn him. But
You think everyone warns everyone in this book?
I do. I kind of want to look at it.
She doesn't warn him.
Let me just look. Oh, what she does is she says, "I will kill you." And then she launches herself at him. So,
is that warning enough for you, Amy?
Maybe?
Is that your warning? Is that the thing?
No.
Is that the thing? You're like,
it's not.
Saying that you're going to kill someone is fine.
No, I mean, look, she's pissed.
I tease.
I know. What's happening is this is a mirroring of Rowan punching Aelin at the start of the novel. And let me just read this quote and tell you what I'm thinking about. Quote, "He couldn't dodge her, so she grabbed him by the front of his jacket and connected. Oh, hitting him in the face felt good, even as her knuckles split and throbbed." Now, for a while, Rowan does punch back, but then he just starts to take her ire, her physical beating, and then what she doesn't realize is her blistering hands. She's singeing his skin. Now, earlier in this episode, we talked about the moment where she was like, you should just hit me instead of verbally assaulting me.
Yeah.
This is more spaced out, but it feels like a parallel to what we saw with Manon and Abraxos, somersaulting in the air, and the way that Manon's thoughts also somersaulted. So we have 3 moments across the book so far where Rowan punches Aelin because she antagonized him. Celaena tells him to punch her instead of antagonizing her. And then Celaena punches Rowan for being an asshole and threatening Luca's life. So it feels kind of the same where we're having their positions switch over time to see kind of the chaos of the relationship. So because of the similarity with Manon and Abraxos, I was like, is Rowan Celaena's Abraxos?
They both fly.
They do both fly. It is true.
Celaena will eventually ride Rowan.
Also true.
In a different way, but
yeah.
What's important about this fight, though, is that it brings back Celaena's spark. And the thing that makes her vicious is the need to protect others. Quote, if you ever endanger anyone else the way you did today, the blood on her nose splattered on his face, mingling, she noted with some satisfaction, with blood from the blows she'd given him. I will kill you. There's going to be a few times that their blood is going to mingle, and I will note that again, but I'm noting that here. I would also like to note that I don't have any issues with this fight. And I don't just mean that because she's kicking his ass. I mean that because in like him fighting her back and actually punching her. I am not sitting here being like, how dare he punch her? It's the fact that I'm not saying that because she initiated it, it's better. Like, you know, she is surprising him similar to the way that he surprised her, but the moment is so different. You know, like, it's not because he said something bad, he put someone's life in danger. There's guilt here. Like, the fact that Rowan isn't fighting back, he knows that what he did, like, he fucked up. He truly fucked up in this moment. I do categorize these differently. And I know someone's going to be like, no, Jack, you're wrong. And I can't fix my brain. I'm sorry. Maybe you guys can. But I do categorize it differently. And that's why when Rowan punches back, I'm okay with it because it feels like a lead up of actually fighting. Like, this feels like a moment of more equal here than there's ever been, even though he's stronger than her.
Yeah.
So even though there's still a power dynamic, I don't have these issues here because there is a layer of equality that I can't necessarily pinpoint. Maybe it's because she's equally more in the right than him here. Like, there's a level of power. The power difference isn't as strong here. I just wanted to note that. With Rowan, though, Celaena is ready to be honest, which we saw the night before. And that's when she lets it all out. Quote, and she lied. This is Celaena talking about Nehemia. She lied about everything. She lied to me because I was a coward and I hate her for it. I hate her for leaving me. Reading this was very cathartic where I was like, yeah, you get it all out, babe. Nehemia was a bitch. I understand. And she doesn't have to come to this emotional moment with Rowan, but she does because just like Abraxos is Manon's safe space, so is Rowan becoming Aelin's safe space. So I can see that connection, Amy. You call me by my first name and it was weird. I call you by yours and it felt weird too. Another moment of them sharing blood is right here. This is immediately after she confesses what just hurt her, which is Nehemia lying, right? Quote, Rowan still pinned her, his warm blood dripping on her face. This is a blood bond at this point. This is shared trauma. And I feel like this is a big reason as to why Rowan is going to open up to her. And you're like, of course, this is a big reason. I mean, the blood. No, it's like, it's shared. Like, and the blood mingling is a very beautiful representation of the way that they've both bled out in their life. And now it's coming together with their messed upness.
I think that's a great point because in a lot of ways, to me, what it symbolizes is creating a bond equivalent to the bond that Rowan has with the rest of the cadre that They've fought together, they've bled together, they've shared wounds. And what Rowan is seeing maybe for the first time is that Celaena, even though their trauma is different, it is similar enough that he feels connected to it.
So the two fight it out, and there's now a sense of peace between them. And we have this quote, "She snorted, and as they approached the fortress, the torches and candles ignited as if to welcome them home." I take that to mean that she's the one who lit them. And I don't think she knows that she's lighting them. I think this is her way of telling her that she's in a safe space, is that there's a control to her power, that it's able to light the candles finally. But, because she's with Rowan and she feels safe.
That's good. I didn't even think about that. Now that Rowan and Celaena have finished their little spat, they enter the fortress and Emrys gives them a hard time. He calls them, quote, "no better than alley cats brawling at all hours of the day and night," Emrys said, slamming 2 bowls of stew onto the work table. I love this moment because Emrys has taken Celaena and Rowan's humanity from them by comparing them to alley cats, and it makes them come across as feral and uncivilized. And quite frankly, they deserve it, given how poorly they've both treated Emrys.
Yeah.
So, good job, Emrys.
And Rowan's like, "I'm not an alley cat. I'm a hawk.
I'm a hawk. I eat alley cats for dinner."
Yeah. Look, you get my animal right." He doesn't say that, obviously. I do enjoy this scene because they're both like children that have been chided, right? And Celaena's even surprised when Rowan helps her clean the dishes. And it's showing that they're on equal playing field here. They fought. Celaena got some good punches. They're on an even playing field, even though he's more powerful, but it is an even playing field.
Yep.
They come in. They're both yelled out by Emrys. Even playing field. They're both cleaning, even playing field, which is why we're able to go into this moment where it evens it out even more so. So Celaena goes to Rowan's room with the salve to help heal his wounds after she's burned him and after she's kicked his ass. And she finds him shirtless in his room. Quote, "She hadn't expected his body too closely before either. His chest, tan enough to suggest he spent a good amount of time without a shirt, was sculpted with muscle and covered in thick scars." Oh, she'd be horny for him.
So horny.
So horny. But this also shows a difference into the way that she sees Rowan compared to when she saw Kale and Sam. Quote, "a warrior's body that had centuries to hone." This is not a 22-year-old captain of the guard, right? This is not a teenage Sam. This is a man, and he is a true warrior. And this is different, and she will respect that. Honestly, after someone who has dabbled in very fit man recently, I think maybe we open this up a little bit more to strong men. I think this is, a whole new world that Celaena and I can venture into.
A whole new world. Is that what you're singing in your head?
With biceps strong enough to carry me, hold me like a princess.
Oh, jeez.
No matter my weight.
Sorry, I had to enjoy the show and take a sip of water.
I hope everyone enjoyed that show. And again, if they're not strong enough to pick you up like a princess, let us, as a movement, as women, hear me stand now. This is my stance. May we all stop dating men 10 years older than us who are tall, skinny, and have lower back pains. Just me? My bad.
Projecting?
Projecting? I think we step into a world of men who don't have lower back pain and can at least make you feel, for a moment, like a pretty, pretty princess.
Right. Now, before Celaena goes up to Rowan's room while they're still down in the kitchen, she thinks to herself at one point, quote, "there were still truths she hadn't confessed to, stains on her soul she couldn't yet explore or express. But maybe he wouldn't walk away whenever she did find the courage to tell him." Now, I bring this up because this is an echo of her thoughts the night before when Rowan had torn her down and she's like, "Oh, it would have been nice if someone would accept me and all my truths." So now she's starting to think, oh, well, Rowan could be that person. which is necessary as a setup for when she does go into Rowan's room and Rowan confesses to her and shares his vulnerability. What is that? Rowan tells Celaena about his mate and how she was murdered. And from Celaena's point of view, this makes his actions the other night okay. Quote, "You left me," she had said to him. That was when he'd snapped, the wounds of centuries ago rising up to swallow him as viciously as her own past consumed her. Now, this is a moment where it feels like the author forcing a conclusion,
Mm-hmm.
forcing Celaena to understand a conclusion so that we understand the motivations behind Rowan. This is not from Rowan's point of view. This does not explain Rowan's actions
Yeah.
or excuse them.
Yeah.
But Celaena, because of SJM, is choosing to accept it as an explanation for his actions.
It's really rough, the jump of
Mhm.
how she figured it out. I kind of want to go back to that quote you read, her saying maybe he wouldn't walk away whenever she'd find the courage to tell him. That's before she's in his room, right? Like that's
Right.
before she's made her way to him. And I feel like that's an unearned statement to get to the point where 24 hours before he was yelling at her. And yes, they bonded. Yes, they punched it out, but he hasn't earned that yet again, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that same line could be there after he kind of gave the confession of what happened to his mate, right?
Right.
I think that that might have been like, okay, he opened up to me. Maybe I can have the courage to do the same back to him. And I agree. I think the like him saying he didn't even get into the full story at this point when he said about like his mate died. He didn't get into the very nitty-gritty details, did he?
All he talks about, he was like, he wanted to prove himself as a warrior. He left, even though his mate asked him not to.
Yeah, the like you left me isn't enough of a thing that I would be like, "Ah, yes, that's why you treated me horribly?"
Right. Because you feel guilty leaving your pregnant mate.
Yeah.
Therefore, she never would have been able to tell him
Yeah.
he left her because she was killed. Yeah, I don't.
But he has pain. He is sharing his pain. Blood has been shared. Stories have been shared.
Pain has been shared.
Pain has been shared. He's a sad boy. Can you tell we've been yelled at too much? Not too much. We've been yelled at a lot of like, he's just sad. And it's like, I know. I see it.
Sad doesn't excuse terrible.
God. The way that I fundamentally believe in that of sadness, it can understand a moment, but you don't get to form your entire personality of being horrible because you're sad and having that be justified as a good enough reason.
Right. And maybe it's because I have a mother who called me out on my shit when I was depressed and was not going to therapy. And she's like, you don't get to act this way just because you're sad. Like, you don't get to treat me like shit. You don't get to treat the people in your life like shit
Yeah.
because you're sad. You need to go to therapy.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, it's hard to get to a point to be like, yeah, people don't have to put up with the being treated horribly too, right? Like that's the
Right.
thing where we all have our rough moments, right? Where, being like, sorry, I'm stressed, or sorry, I'm PMSing.
Yeah.
There's a difference versus like Rowan's perpetual bullshit. Rowan is still not it for me, but that's fine. I see it.
I mean, you can be a sad human and still be kind.
Yeah.
Being mean is a choice.
We're going to just sit on that. I wish this is the end of that episode, but we have a couple more notes to go.
We have more notes. Now, because Celaena has told Rowan about her anger towards Nehemia and what happened to Nehemia, and then Rowan has now told Celaena about his mate, I guess they're bonded, question mark?
Mhm.
Well, which is what Jac was saying. I wrote my notes before Jac wrote her notes. Symbolically, they have bonded, right? The blood mingling, the psychological sharing of trauma.
Yeah.
And so it justifies him saying, and I say that facetiously, quote, but maybe, he said, quietly enough that she looked at him again. He didn't smile, but his eyes were inquisitive. maybe we could find the way back together.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe it.
Mm-mm.
What, at any point, other than the symbolism, has Rowan expressed an interest in doing anything with Celaena by his side?
Nope. Him confessing is hell of a
Yeah.
oh wow, he's confessing to her. That's been, building up, I guess. But, I could believe him opening up to her. Sure.
Yeah.
This moment where he's saying let's find our way back together is
That should have been chapters later. That is
yeah.
not this moment.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Again, there hasn't been enough vulnerability to justify it. And quite frankly, not enough kindness on Rowan's part to justify it. Like, Celaena,
Willingness, kindness and vulnerability. To say to someone, maybe we can find the way back together, that's not just vulnerability, that's willingness to bond. That's willingness to really rely on someone. You're telling me that he's willing to rely on her now?
after saying, I hope that girl ran away so I don't have to face the consequences of what I said.
I could believe Celaena saying that because she's already expressed several times, you left me, I'm sad. She's opened up, she's been vulnerable before. In order to get to this vulnerable moment, he needs to have more vulnerable moments beyond his, let me tell you my sad backstory. There needed to have been some other vulnerable moments between the two.
Right. And again, this is not a criticism of Rowan. This is a storytelling, a story structure criticism that we have for the author. And again, I think back to what we said earlier, I think SJM took a square peg trying to fit it into a round hole with Rowan. He was meant to serve us one purpose, and there wasn't enough work to rewrite him to fit the new purpose.
Because we don't have enough pages. We have too many point of views. We have too many things happening. I am happy that we're getting some development. I'm happy that we're moving somewhat forward. I'm happy to see this. Honestly, this is the longest we've stayed with these characters in this book consecutively.
Yeah.
And happy to get some development, but it's all of their character development has been smushed into these few chapters. And it's not enough to make the bridge the pieces together. And because of the rushed writing, it makes Rowan a character that some people might find hard to get on board with.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to say something that has no evidence to support it. None whatsoever.
Yep.
I wonder if Heir of Fire was never supposed to have Manon in it. And through the revision process, Manon was added.
Yeah.
I mean, Manon makes this book, but she has no ties whatsoever. And I know timeline-wise it's necessary, but it's also not. You could have cut Manon and focused more on this relationship and told Manon's story later.
It's interesting. I can be on board with this theory because what if, as she's writing this book, she's mapping out the next book, right? She's already working on that. Yeah, it would make sense where she's shit, I can't just dive into Manon's story. I need some background to this.
Yeah.
Or, because that's right. You start writing and you're like, oh my God, this character is so interesting. I'm tuning into them. I'm getting so much from them. Their backstory doesn't fit in just a couple of chapters. I need to give them more. Is there proof? Is there evidence? No. Could I see it? Yes, because there is just too much time has been taken away.
Right. And it almost feels like there could have been more scenes, like with Rowan and Celaena, that were sacrificed.
I even think Dorian was not necessarily needed. I mean, yes, we need him to go. We could have found another way to have him be crushed at the end.
Yeah, you could have never had Dorian or Sorcia's point of view and it all happening in the background of Kale's point of view.
Yeah. I get you need to have Dorian isolated. You need to have Sorcia sending out the letters. There's things that should have been sacrificed, and that ended up being Celaena and Rowan's development, and that is the part that I'm hit the hardest with. I feel was hit the hardest, and I don't think was worth sacrificing.
I agree, because we're more than halfway through the book, and this is the first time we're getting development.
This ends with part 2. We end this
Yeah.
in part 2. So this is like the conclusion of part 1. And you're sitting here going, that was part 1? Like,
Yeah.
okay. We did a
We-
lot here in a short amount of time. This feels like the end of a, okay. Yeah, sure. I'm on board. Whatever.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I have to say the one last line of this chapter, because Rowan puts the spark back into Celaena. And again, this is another thing that feels like SJM had to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Rowan makes the offer of them developing together, because Celaena needed to have, quote, an ember began to glow again inside
Yeah.
her by the end of the first part.
Yeah.
And it just feels, it's like when I try to kiss my cat, it just smushes together.
Mushed. All right. So like last week, our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks segment, because it's all spoilery in nature, is going to be aired in a separate episode on Thursday. That is also where we're going to discuss listener thoughts and interpretations we've collected from your emails, DMs, and answers to our prompts and on Spotify comments. So let's dive into our question of the week, though.
All right, Jack.
Yeah.
In what ways are Celaena and Rowan developing in this series of chapters? I feel like we just answered that with the discussion we just
answered
had.
that. I'm going to try to take this in positive. Let's do a positive interpretation. I think
Okay.
we've really laid into all the ways that we have issues with. Now, let's shift our mindset and argue for the opposite, right? The fact that this ends part 1
Mhm.
is suiting. The fact that the beginning of this book was introduced with Celaena and Rowan in his hawk form, of her as a mess and him spying, essentially. And you have this as a different bookend, right?
Mm-hmm.
This does show a journey between where we were at the beginning of Rowan being a specter of her downfall and spiral, to him now being a life vest to her coming out of the spiral.
I think that's a very, very beautiful way to describe it. And you're right. They have come a long way, despite the fact that we have not seen every single moment of their interaction.
Mm-hmm.
A lot has happened to change between them. I think that part 1 is as long as it is because they needed a lot of time to experience that change.
Mm-hmm.
And it was elongated because of the inclusion of other storylines.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was re-listening to Heir of Fire, part 2 is chock full of stuff, and it's very short not very short by comparison, but it is less than 50% of the book.
Yeah.
And so everything in part 1 is necessary for part 2 to take place.
Yeah.
But it's a different sort of story when we move into part 2.
And you have a story between Aelin and Rowan, two characters that have not found comfort in allies for different reasons, right? For Celaena, they keep dying, they keep leaving her. She can't find anyone stable. So it kind of makes sense that the next person that she finds to be so stable is this powerful warrior, is someone who is near immortal. So, like there is stability there. And
Mhm.
for Rowan trying to work past his dead mate situation, of course he would find comfort in a woman who could defend herself.
Mhm.
Both of who they each find comfort in what they need the most in a quality of someone.
Yeah. I think that's an excellent, excellent point, that ultimately at the end of the day, they feel safest with someone who cannot repeat their history
Yeah.
or their greatest fears.
Yep.
Rowan has survived torture that Sam did not survive.
Yep. Literally the exact same torture. That is so freaking true. All right, let's actually go into that. Okay, we can do this in layers. So Rowan survived the same torture that Sam went through, and Sam didn't survive. Rowan knows her identity of
Mhm.
Aelin the way that Kale knows her identity, only without the rejection of it.
Right.
Nehemia chose not to go to Celaena and give her the truth. Rowan unabashedly gives her the truth.
Yep. What about Dorian?
Dorian's a little punk ass bitch. Rowan is not.
Well,
I love Dorian.
yeah, I love Dorian, but Dorian needed protection.
Dorian only needs protection, yeah.
And Celaena provides that protection where Rowan will provide her with protection.
Ultimately, Celaena's never had anyone who can truly have her back.
Yeah.
And she's getting that with Rowan. And for Rowan, he's never had anyone who hasn't manipulated or died on him. And Celaena is there to be able to defend herself and be brutally honest, right? Like,
yeah.
Rowan has thrown himself into Maeve's care. And by the end of all this, we're going to see Rowan be loyal to Celaena. And that's because Celaena is the opposite of Maeve, right? She's compassionate to the demi-fae. She's angry when he puts lives in danger. Celaena is the opposite of Maeve in every single way, basically, and also opposite of his mate. So, look, guys, we can do it too, the other way.
What this conversation makes me think is that had Celaena met Aedion before Rowan,
I think she would have fallen in love with him.
I think she would have fallen in love with Aedion.
I thought that while taking notes too.
Because Aedion would be capable of providing what Rowan has provided her. And so really it comes down to timing. Who got to her first?
Yeah.
And maybe that's why SJM had to change who the love interest was. Because if Rowan was not originally the love interest, because he encounters her first, it doesn't make sense for Celaena to not choose him.
Yeah, everything other than, spoiler, he is her true mate.
Right.
That is the only thing that makes them work. Other than that, Aedion would have been the perfect match for her.
Yep.
Now, maybe you can argue because Rowan is older, he has more stability, which is hilarious because no, he does not. But you can say he has a certain wisest maturity. Again, I'd argue not. But Aedion provides the history.
Right.
That Rowan doesn't have.
Right. The only thing that Rowan provides that Aedion does not is the magic that can counter Celaena's magic.
Yes. Truly. That's it. And maybe because of that, like, Celaena really cannot be with anyone that she does not see her equal magic-wise and power-wise.
Right.
Again, look, we did it. Good job for us.
We put our emotions aside.
Never. That was it. I'm done with it. You got it once this season. Thanks for listening to Book Talk for Book Talk with Jac and Amy. Join us Thursday for our Breadcrumbs and Broomsticks discussion of today's chapters.
If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. It really helps other readers find us. And of course, we'd love to hear what you thought of today's episode. Share your comments through our form at booktalkforbooktalk.com, and we might feature your feedback in a future mini episode or in a Patreon exclusive episode.
For merch and more ways to support the show, head to booktalkforbooktalk.com. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at the handle BookTalk for BookTalk. And don't forget to join us by subscribing to the Subtext Society Journal.substack.com to get more insights into the romantasy and romance world. Bye.
The holidays throw me off purely because I'm not at work. I lose track of everything.
The number one thing that I lose track of are my nutrients. It is always the first thing to go, which is why I am obsessed with Ritual, especially their Essential for Women 18 plus.
Their Essential for Women 18 Plus multi contains 9 key nutrients in 2 delayed release capsules designed for optimal absorption per day, which means it's gentle on the stomach with a minty essence. And quite frankly, I love that minty essence because there's nothing worse than taking a pill that tastes like crap.
Ritual even conducted a university-led clinical trial for their Essential for Women 18 Plus multivitamin to assess its efficacy. The results? It increased vitamin D levels by 43%, omega-3 DHA levels by 41% in just 12 weeks.
I honestly need to get my partner on this. She needs both.
We all need it, which is why we have the perfect code for you today.
Our listeners get early access to their Black Friday sale for 40% off your first month at ritual.com/booktalk.
That's ritual.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, for 40% off your first month. Don't miss out on their best sale this season.
The thing about Los Angeles fall is I need a sweater in the morning. And because I go to work every day, it needs to be stylish.
And Quince has got your back, Amy, because they are able to provide those sweaters and outerwear and everyday essentials that help you feel luxurious, but it's also timeless. And you are a sucker for timeless fashion.
100%. If I invest my money, I don't want to have to spend it again for a long time. That's why I buy their $50 Mongolian cashmere sweaters, because they're made not only for the workday, but the everyday.
Honestly, I've been eyeing Quince's Italian wool coats, and I've never had a wool coat. But I think it's time. I think I'm ready to upgrade my life to a wool coat. And it's great because with Quince, the cut feels designer and the quality really rivals high-end brands, but without that insane markup.
That's because they work directly with ethical, top-tier factories, and they skip the middleman to offer prices 50% less than similar brands.
One of my all-time favorite sweaters that I got last year was their boyfriend fit sweater. I keep that in my car because that is my, oh no, I forgot to bring something, favorite sweater that I know I'm going to look good and works with every outfit.
So step into the holiday season with layers made to feel good, look polished, and last from Quince.
Perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. Go to quince.com/booktalk for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. And they're now available in Canada.
That's QUINCE.com/booktalk, BOOKTALK, to get free shipping and 365-day returns.
Quince.com/booktalk.